Well, howdy everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the latest run of Athearn SD70 series locomotives. It includes the SD70M flared radiator, straight radiator with phase 2 cab, phase 1 cab, and it includes the George Bush 4141 SD70ACe from the George Bush Presidential Museum. Now, I know that I've reviewed SD70ACe several times on this channel. People get a little, annoyed that it's being reviewed so many times, but there's so many updates and variations. The first one you're looking at right here, which is for the George Bush locomotive, a very special box. So, very handsome box with the Presidential Library seal here, UP Building America, George Bush, Athearn Genesis logo, and on the end you can see that the locomotive in the diagram with sound. It is Tsunami 2 sound from Soundtracks, and it's equipped with LEDs. So with that said, we'll get the box open and see what's in it. Alright, we're going to try to open the box here, lift off the lid. Inside, a whole plethora of documents. We'll go through these really quickly. You got Declaration of Conformity, which is the first time I've seen this, but it's talking about some FCC stuff and compliance. I don't think anybody's too worried about that, so I'll skip over that. Manual, still gloss, and approximately 18 pages, some of which are notes and functions, and exploded parts diagram is separate here, as you can see. That way if you need a part, you can correspond it with the number and then order it through the Athearn Parts Department, which is pretty much on their A-game most of the time that I've dealt with them. Athearn News Flyer. Genesis limited loco warranty, which I believe is a year. And yeah, another Horizon Hobby flyer about the warranty. Locomotive. Pull it out here. Nothing's changed with packaging. Still got the plastic sleeves. A little cradle or blister they call it. Pop that up. Pop that off. And down goes the locomotive, and we'll get the grab iron protectors out. Alright, I've got 3 locomotives to look at. A Canadian National, a UP, and then the George Bush 4141. So with that said, we'll dig in to the front of the locomotive. LED lights were a recent addition. People have asked me why there's no PTC antenna array. It's because the real one doesn't have it. Although you still, see if you can still pull the, still removable roof, so you can install cab figures, mess with lighting, etc. So that's still a good feature. Silver tipped MU hoses, McHenry couplers, LED ditch lights, separately applied details like crazy. We won't go over too much because we've covered the ACE several times, but you do have a cab camera inside, nice finely detailed windshield wipers, the presidential seal, or the museum seal I should say, on the nose here. As we turn this sideways, cab kind of points down a little bit. I don't know if that's prototypical or production stuff. Dustbin hatch and exhaust are good here. Horn right there. People have also asked if the horn's facing in the wrong direction or applied in the wrong direction. It's the correct direction from what I can see of prototype pictures. George Bush 4141 Presidential Museum's clear and legible. Handrails seem to be doing pretty good on this one. There's a lot of underbody detail, including jacking pads, and looks like one of those might be slightly just twisted in the application process at the factory. See-through radiator grill area, you can see through. This one not so much, but on the other ACEs you can see through and see the blower or the housing area back here. A little clearer. US flag. This is an Air Force One type scheme, obviously. An update is the fan grill color is black now on the newer run. That was another change. Safety tread on the walkways, decent compartment depth on the sides, and like I mentioned, lots of truck detail. So I thought I heard something go flying when I took it out of the box, but I can't find anything, so I don't know. Maybe we'll catch it on camera later, or maybe it just wasn't a thing. Sometimes the plastic makes that noise that sounds like something hit, you know, the layout somewhere, but it didn't. 4141 on the back, LEDs, straight handrails there, a couple of cut levers on the front and rear. I don't think I mentioned that. Again, accessory hoses on the rear. More of the same on the other side, but you got a brake wheel that's nicely applied, and checking the handrails again, looks pretty good. Tiny fluctuation in the handrails, but not much. And then on the back of the cab, you have more windshield wipers applied to the back windows, which is just like the real thing. You got battery box doors, all that details applied, and a bunch of warning labels, small UP logo as well right there, and another museum logo right there, or museum seal I should say. Also on the side you can see the bell and some of the plumbing that goes down to the fuel tank, and another jacking pad, so emergency shutoff controls and sight glass for the fuel tank is right there as well. And we're going to zoom back out so you guys get a more clear picture of the whole loco. And up front is the cab door, cab nose door with the separately applied latch that looks nicely done, grab irons all over the place, and more safety tread. So overall pretty good on detail and application of parts. You know, the only thing I could really find was that there was a semi-crooked jacking pad on the other side that I already showed. With that said, we're going to look at a couple of the other models. So here's the Canadian national version of the SD70. That's actually an SD75I. So I'm not going to go over all the detail differences, but obviously there's a lot of spotting feature differences that just stick out, including dynamic brake fan, dynamic brake fan right there versus the SD70ACe, a long dustbin hatch. Both of these have lift rings. I didn't mention that on the other one, but obviously positions are different antenna array, different side details, like the blower housing area, radiator fans are flush instead of the flared. You know, there's a ton of stuff we could go over on this, but really just want to show you, you still get silver tipped end MU hoses. It's got that very unique CN back plow, spare knuckler couplers I should say, and then front and rear ditch lights, which obviously the SD70ACe doesn't have the rear ditch lights. Trio fans on the rear for the radiator fans, and more variations. So handrails seem to be pretty good. I thought maybe this was a wavy handrail, but it's actually going down a little bit, and that's actually what the real thing looks like. Last but certainly not least is the UP flared radiator SD70 phase 2 cab, more updated cab. One thing I haven't ever mentioned when reviewing these, they have the little light housings for the staircase. So you see a little light housing tucked away there. That's on all the SD70ACe and SD70 series. And this is red sill, so it's prior to the PTC era. So you've got some ice skate antenna up top and a firecracker type antenna there. More configuration changes from the SD75I. Flared radiators again are back on this one. UP flag looks really good. A little bit of bend in the handrails there. Probably be adjusted with the skewer here to kind of flatten that out. But nothing that's not super picky in my opinion. Got the butt end of this with more lift rings. Tons of grab irons. You still get your coupler levers, spare knuckle couplers, MU hoses with silver tipped ends, and McHenry couplers. More of the same on that side, including that brake wheel. So handrails are in the stanchion, seem pretty straight on this one, on all three really. So I think maybe a handrail improvement, and seems like there's an attempt to tint the cab windows now, which is also a recent addition. Dynamic brake fan grill area here is still see-through. You see a couple wires going towards the back where the wiring for the locomotive has to get the rear light lit. And headlights in the cab, and number boards. I still don't believe we have lit number boards, but we'll check on that. We will take a look at the George Bush, maybe take a quick look at one of the two SD70s, and finish this video up. Alright, we're all fired up. We've heard the startup sounds of the SD70 before. You get the warning buzzer, and then it starts the locomotive. Did a pull test off screen, 4.2 ounces, because I'm trying to keep this video concise. That's about 62 pieces of rolling stock per locomotive. Seems to be an increase over the previous generations of the SD70ACe. You can probably see, even though there's good amount of light on this locomotive, the LED headlights and the LED ditch lights, so they're nice and bright. It's a nice white, flat white, maybe, yeah, just flat white appearance. There's no golden tint to it or anything, but it's a good look, and they do use LEDs on locomotives now. So we'll go through some quick sounds, just a few though. There's the bell. Here's the horn. Short horn. Dynamic brakes, which only activate when moving. Hear that whine there. 5 handles the ditch lights. And then there's a lot of other features, including mute. Tsunami decoder is packed out with several things. Be sure to check out my video on the features of the Tsunami too, because you can do braking, you can do all sorts of things. You can actually change the RPM of the prime mover based on load. You can manually notch up the prime mover and notch down the prime mover. So Tsunami 2 is not your typical Tsunami, it's very beefed up. So, we're going to zoom out. We're going to move this to check speed control. There's one. You instantly hear the prime mover response, so there's no delay. Pretty smooth with that Genesis drive. There's 2. There's 3. 4 and 5. And the SD75I is taking a peek at this while we're moving this thing. There's 1 in reverse, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And some of you have asked for like just going crazy, so we'll go ahead and ramp it up. It's way back there now. Switch directions. Not a whole lot of momentum built in, which is kind of how I like it, because I'm not quite that prototypical of a modeler yet to worry about momentum when I'm more worried about it crashing into something else on the track. So there's motor control and sounds and some of the NMRA specs, like the pull test, which again is 4.2 ounces. So that is all for the Ace. We'll take a quick look at the SD70M Phase 2 flared radiator. Wanted to dim some lights and give you a quick look at the color temperature of these LEDs, and to show you that on the models with ditch lights on the front and rear, you have illuminated ditch lights on the front and rear. And they're very nice and bright, so if you do night ops and things like that, you have a realistic light cast on the tracks. So just quickly showing these 3 all next to each other, you can see some obvious spotting features and differences. One thing I didn't mention is the rubber MU hoses now that are on these locomotives, and some of the other lighting features that now adorn these things. But here is the SD70M flared radiator Phase 2 cab. That's a more updated cab. What you saw on the Canadian National was more like the Phase 1 cab, or is the Phase 1 cab. Phase 2 cab had some upgrades for sound isolation and more. I don't believe we have lit ditch lights or lit number boards or anything yet, but we do have those LED upgrades in the other ones that we mentioned. So we'll go ahead and do bell and horn on this just for people considering this one. So there you have it. You get different variations based on road name, road number, and some of the variations of the SD70 series. That's going to be it from this review. I just wanted to go over these releases from Athearn. They should be in stock at all your dealers, at least for a few weeks now, because I was sick for a couple weeks, so I'm a little behind my game. I'm going to leave you with a run-by of these. If you have any questions, let me know, because I am human and I do miss stuff, especially on a quick video like this. We'll see you next time right on my channel. Take care.